Hey everybody, it's your professional lovers in training. I'm Patty.
And I'm Al.
And we're here to recap the episode that just ended with Married at First Sight. Couples on the honeymoon, starting to find out some things about each other.
Yeah.
And Amelia and Bennett were talking about their upbringing, how their upbringing impacted the two of them. Who else talked about that? Brett and Olivia kind of talked about that when they were talking about, going on family vacations and not having a lot of money and playing outside the neighborhood and finding things to do, because they couldn't travel or do things that require. And I understand he came from a family of 5 kids. I came from a family of 5 kids, so I understand that. But we did try to take, when we were younger, we took a summer vacation pretty much every year. But then it was driving everywhere. We had a station wagon. We drove everywhere. So it wasn't about going out of the country or going on cruises or anything like that. It was about driving that station wagon to somebody's house and staying at their house for a week or whatever the case may be. But it was still vacation.
Being born and raised in the Bronx, every day is an adventure.
Hey, yeah, you can have a vacation, a good staycay. just going from borough to borough.
True.
But it was nice to see all the couples doing some, questioning, fact finding,
yeah.
And that's how you, determine what kind of values you have in common or what kind of things that you have in common, which, of course, is one of the tips in our book, Becoming a Professional Lover, that its common values are vital because that creates the connections that you have with each other. So it was nice to hear, Bennett talking about, growing up in his family and his mom having cancer and how that impacted his thoughts about mortality and that kind of thing. And then Amelia talking about, the fact that her mom was a doctor and in med school, gone a lot, but just how that impacts. And you have to know that as a couple, each of us is bringing all of that with us into the relationship.
Well, it's part of your character. It's part of who you are. And actually, the communication aspect is like the beginning stages of allowing yourself to be vulnerable, letting a person inside of who you are and what has made you become who you are. And I think it's vital. It's required, really.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. So a lot of communication was going on, which is great. And, hope that it continues. Even broaching sensitive things such as, why relationships broke up in the past and that kind of thing.
Why you haven't had a relationship in such a long period of time.
Yeah, and it's funny because you could see the pros and cons of both sides. For instance, Karen said she'd only had 2 serious relationships in her whole life. 30. And Miles has had 10. And she was like, what? Okay. So, to her, it could look like you don't know how to be serious enough. You just go through, do you just like being in love? There are some people who love.
Yeah.
They like the newness, the freshness, the energy that comes with a new relationship. And then, once the relationship isn't new anymore,
they go find a new relationship.
Exactly. So I think she was feeling a little bit like, how at 26 have you had 10
and I'm
relationships?
30 and I've only had 2.
On the flip side, though, he could say, well, with just 2.
What kind of experience in relationships have you had?
Exactly. So, you can see the plus and minuses on both sides, but I think he ended up kind of soothing her anxiety about how he could, at 26, have had those many relationships.
Because he indicated each and every relationship. Well, he started off by saying he had 10 monogamous relationships. So it was basically for him, even regardless of when he started them, it was the intent of having a long-lasting relationship. He said he had, encountered some great women, but for whatever reason, it just didn't pan out. He didn't express any major trauma. It's just that, some people are just not extremely compatible.
Well, and he also said that having dating like that helped him know what he likes, know what he doesn't like.
True.
Find out what he needs to fix within himself. And that's the whole premise behind dating.
Man, there's growth.
Not dating, not serial dating like what Brett did, but just the natural order of dating is designed or supposed to do that exact thing. It's supposed to help you figure yourself out and figure out, how you are in a relationship, what you need to change or grow, or what you need to let go of completely, and what brings the best out in you. So that's how you're supposed to use the whole dating scene. And I like the fact that all of the couples but Amani and Woody actually talked about it in this particular episode, and that was the not rushing into sex. Woody, being the player that he has been, sex has been a big part of his relationships. But he's not minding going slow. He's talking about it because it's in, the forefront of his
I think
brain.
Woody is enjoying a true relationship.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we live in a society where sex is recreational.
Yeah.
And I was saying how, early on, I knew that sex tends to, especially for women, and this is just in general, this is not to say this is all women, but it tends to, cloud your thinking.
Muddy the waters, yeah.
Muddy the waters, cloud your thinking, so that you're not making, you're not always making good decisions.
Well, but you're emotional beings, and that sex is emotional, and to partake in it, you're giving of yourself. For guys, we've talked about it, and we talk about getting, but you're giving of yourself as well, whether you want to realize it or not. But it's a certain intimacy that
should.
Well, right, yeah. I was going to say you shouldn't cheapen by giving it to everybody.
Yeah, but when you live in a society where that's like the norm. Again, it's people look at it as a form of recreation.
Yeah. Well, it's been
rather than a form of true connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because of that, I think that makes it even more noticeable and cool that, as far as we know, all the couples, and this is the first season where that's happened, and we talked about it before, but all the couples have kind of put that on the back burner.
True.
In order to establish a connection that's not purely physical.
Yeah.
So I really like that about, Miles just hanging back and all the guys just kind of hanging back and saying,
when it happens, it happens.
Exactly.
They're getting to know their spouse.
And being willing to make that connection, the emotional, mental connection first.
Allowing sex at whatever time it becomes, allowing it to be what it's supposed to be.
Right.
The consummate bond. Whereas, you take time to get to know who your spouse is. In this case, your spouse. I mean, in dating, you get to know who the person is that you want to spend more time with. In this case, they bonded first legally, and now they're getting to know each other, and they're willing to spend time to get to know each other, as opposed to saying, well, since we are official, then we need to do everything we're supposed to do and not get to know who the person is. That's probably why a few of them have not lasted.
Oh, I definitely, would second that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's see, what else? Back to talking about past relationships, Brett was feeling some kind of way that Olivia hadn't been in a relationship for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
And yet, I like what she talked about, because many people don't do this. Take the time after a relationship breaks up to really figure out who they are.
Self-reflection.
Self-growth, work on yourself. We tend to just jump from relationship to relationship, and you're not really asking yourself, what are the lessons that I learned from this relationship I just got out of, or that broke down, or whatever. What did I learn about myself? What have I learned about relationships, being with another person, and really figuring out what is going to make you the best partner that you can bring to a relationship.
And not feeling pressured by society to feel that you have to be in a relationship to prove that you're worthy or
because
valued.
there is a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure from society in general. Then there's pressure from family. And then there's pressure from, if you're a church person, like I was a church girl, there's pressure from the church.
Especially
just the culture, it's just, and if you're not with somebody, then there's something wrong with you, or, there's a lot of pressure, and you got to resist it. Resist the pressure.
Just be confident in who you are. That
even
helps
to take the time to become confident in who you are.
And that takes time.
It takes time. It does.
So, but now on the flip side of that, Brett, who basically even labeled himself as a serial dater, come to find out there's a reason behind it.
Right.
Since he was engaged
and cheated on
twice. So, I mean, and the thing about it, I was kind of amazed that Amelia even asked the question. Well, what did you do after being cheated on? Did you try to work it out? And he said yes, but when it happened again,
but that was the agreement.
Kind of threw.
We're going to work this out, but if it happens again, that's it.
Hey, and he stuck to it, which good for him.
Exactly.
But
good
I guess it affected him to a degree that
he couldn't trust.
We're not going to have a real relationship right now. So he's labeled the serial dater, but
now we know there's a reason. Right.
So he's not as much of a. He's not that type of way.
How we felt about him at the beginning.
Yeah.
So he's showing himself to be much more
human
and well-rounded than we thought initially.
Oh no.
As long as he stays sober. So anyway.
Well, no, wait a minute. How do you have a wager with your wife, and the outcome is that y'all drink shots of mezcal? That's what you do with the fellas, maybe. If the fellas, you're like that. But
well, that's why I think he made it. That's why he made it. What he gets, if he wins, she has to do shots with him like the fellas would do. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah. Well, we end the discussion tonight with our problem child, Henry. Well, you said whenever he comes on screen and starts talking,
I tense up. I mean, I feel for her, but I look at him and I'm like, wow. I mean, this is something that 8 and 9-year-olds do when they're in close proximity of a girl, and they just kind of, if I'm close enough, it must be okay. It's okay. I don't have to say anything.
And it's not just that. Come to find out, it appears as though he's done nothing in life.
Nothing. He's breathed.
Nothing.
He's breathed and he's learned how to talk.
He has stayed home
and put a part in his head.
And close to home, and he's done nothing. I find that somewhat fascinating.
No, that's a little morbid. I mean,
well,
especially having brothers. I mean, he's had brothers there, and they're a little quirky, but still, I mean, you would think that having brothers that.
No, you're not mixing him up with Brett, are you? Brett's the one that's got like 4 brothers. I think Henry.
Maybe so. Maybe because he. Oh, that's right.
Is he an only child?
Well, no, he's not an only child, but he's always around women and his father.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. My bad.
Yeah. So I don't know if he's an only child, but
no, he's got a sister.
He is different now. It's funny. One of our subscribers made a remark that she feels like Henry's on the spectrum, and he does come across that way because the awkwardness that he has seems to go beyond just being shy.
Yeah. I mean, shyness kind of softens when there's a familiarity.
Right, when you're around a person or people, and I feel sorry for Christina in a way. Now, Henry did say something that's very important. And that is that he doesn't want to compare himself to other people. He doesn't want them as a couple to compare themselves to other couples. Now, it's a little hard to do when all 5 couples are right. You're the only one doing that, doing what you're doing, and they put them together to chat and to talk on purpose.
Because they have done the same thing. Right. They're in the same location, doing the same thing, taking advantage of different things, but again, trying to get to know their spouse. And so that's just the topic of conversation.
Right. And it is hard then to not compare yourself when you are so different in your connection than everybody else.
Yeah.
And so Christina was really kind of feeling that and feeling a little jealous that they haven't progressed, not even as far, well, not as fast, because it's not a speed thing.
No.
But the comfort level is still not there, at all.
It's not even comfort level, the communication level.
Yeah.
Of getting to know how to be comfortable. The communication level is not there. And there was something that she said, and I don't remember the total context of how she said it, but she said that she was not patient.
That's in the trailer.
That patient.
That's in the trailer coming up. But we already knew from the very beginning that was going to be an issue. Because he is very slow in becoming comfortable.
Yeah, that's more than deliberate.
Yeah. Now, they are, the fact that she's being able to kind of push him into doing things he's never done. Yeah. There is a tip in here that couples need to be different enough to enrich each other.
Yeah.
And so you can definitely see how that would work between Christina and Henry, because she, as a flight attendant, has, she's
out there. She's
been living outside of her little home bubble.
As she talked about, this is a lot of firsts for him.
I mean, when they were jumping up and down on the bouncy thing, and he was like,
trampoline.
"Oh, this is major. I've never done that." I could. She's like, "What?"
Yeah.
Like, this is a big deal that you're jumping on the trampoline.
Well, when they were kayaking, he said, "Well, let me take care of it. I'll handle it all.
I'll do the work."
And I mean, he could have been, you ever look at the gondolas and there's a guy in the hat and he just moving the boat around. He's not part of your conversation at all.
Yeah.
He could have done that job.
Yeah.
And let her find somebody else to talk to, because there was no communication.
But let's give Henry some kudos. He's doing things that he would never
done before.
Sliding in mud. You notice he didn't get his hair. Not even the hairline was wet. But as a person who doesn't like to get dirty, it was major that he was just
in the mud,
under the mud. His clothes and everything.
But it's supposed to be therapeutic, and
that's
maybe he just didn't know about it.
Baby steps.
But he did it.
He did it.
He did it.
He said he'll do anything for his marriage.
He did kayaking. Almost tripped and drowned trying to get out of the kayak. But hey.
But we just like you. I kind of do tense up a little bit whenever he comes on screen.
Because you do want for them to
make it
just melt a little bit.
Yeah.
Just to, see some type of hope. Because in a relationship, you want a commonality. You want a bond. You want to communicate. You want to enjoy one another. She's always the one asking questions. And for him and his one-syllable answers, that's like pulling teeth.
It's painful.
For grown folks. I mean, that's
it's painful to watch.
He just needs to come out of
But hopefully he'll grow. Hopefully in these 8 weeks we will see some growth.
Something.
Otherwise it's just gonna.
Girlfriend
it will continue to be uncomfortable.
She's gonna grow her own wings and fly away.
Yeah. So I think that was basically it. I think we covered all the bases tonight, and so hopefully you have enjoyed our recap. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to our channel, Professional Lovers.
Leave a note.
I enjoy giving feedback to the feedback that you all give, so keep your comments coming. And we look forward to seeing you next week right here for our next Married at First Sight recap. Until then, stay safe, mask up, sanitize, stay inside if you don't have to go anywhere, and meet us back here next week. Peace.
Enjoy.